stakeholder works with numbers. If so, on the presentation, there should be clear high numbers, really big, and show them conversion rate and rankings, what you think, what happens in the next months, and then they are totally agree with you.
Today on SEO Unveiled, we've got Veronika Höller. Veronika is a global SEO manager at CompuGroup Medical, an international company in the health sector. And recently, she helped an online shop in the coronavirus crisis. After 3 months, she brought the shop so far forward that in October 2020, it had the highest revenue of 15 years. We're definitely going to want to find out more about that today. She also doesn't think in silos of technical SEO, content, PPC, or social media marketing. And she believes everything kind of belongs in a successful overall SEO strategy. I'm really excited to have her on the show today. Welcome, Veronika. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Great. The first question I typically like to ask people is, why did you get into SEO?
So this is really funny because I was a PPC manager as I started for 14 years, and I have worked for a little agency, and my clients are freelancers and little companies, and they don't have the money for Google Ads. And there was 300 euros per month. And at this point, I think, okay, we can't help them with this way, so maybe there's another way. And a colleague told me, yes, there's SEO, Veronika. And so I started to go in the sector.
I mean, it's really funny because, you think about well, PPC costs too much, and so you have to do SEO. And I'm kind of at 300 euros a month, I'm kind of like, wow, how do you get SEO accomplished at 300 euros a month? I'm almost like, sometimes SEO costs more than PPC. But it's amazing that you branched out to go from PPC to SEO, because in the long run, SEO is awesome for your clients, and I think it was a good idea for you to branch out. That's super cool. I love that story. And then jumping into kind of like what's going on today in SEO. It sounds like you're on top of a lot of the trends that are going on in the industry. And what trends in general are you noticing in SEO right now that you're really excited about?
I love that multimedia content is so much. Google ranks them higher as content. So I love it to work with images, with videos, with podcasts on my site. It's perfect to include this content in social media, PPC, and on other platforms too. So I love this. So I hope in the future you will find our content all over in video, images, podcasts.
So are you doing something special to try to add more multimedia to kind of like the things that you're trying to do, and how are you doing that?
Yes, so I've talked with the team. So my company is have a lot of business units with their special software on the market, and one is business consulting for doctors. And I've talked to the team, and I said they have to make videos from themselves if they come from clients, and to talk about what was their pains and how could they help them. And it's really cool because we can put this content on our landing pages and also on the other platforms, social media platforms, or we can make it over PPC. And yes, it works because it's personal. So the people see the person behind the software.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're really connecting back to the user, which is kind of what all SEO is all about, really trying to understand the user and try to give them what they're looking for, and being able to relate to another person that has the same kind of pain points or the same experience, or the same outcome that they're looking for. Sounds like you're really, pushing to try to like fill in more than just the content game, which is a lot of people are just putting out a lot of written content. And it sounds like the video content really adds a lot more personality and perspective that's more helpful for your users, which sounds pretty cool. I definitely like hearing about the user-centric focus in SEO.
Yes, because I think it's more about intention. So most SEOs work with keywords, and I try to catch up the intention from the persons we have on the sites. So what do they want on our sites? So podcast also running really good on our websites. It's really interesting. So we put them on the podcatchers, but also on our website. And if you're looking at the heat maps, the people listen to the podcast.
So are you putting kind of other people's podcast episodes on your content, or are you adding in your own company's podcast or something like that?
Yes, we have our own company podcast for doctors. Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. That's exciting. That's really exciting. I mean, the funny thing is, like, it sounds like you're doing a lot of kind of innovative work at your company. And I know from talking to you that your company didn't always start out in the kind of the digital realm. Maybe we can talk about, like, how are you getting, your SEO initiatives prioritized and implemented in your company? Because this seems like such a challenge for a lot of, especially, earlier career SEO managers or people working at companies that are similar to yours that hadn't always been a digital first company.
Yes, so I started last year in May to work for CompuGroup Medical, and I've made analysis, SEO analysis, your technical and content analysis. And I've seen, oh my gosh, yes, we have to do so much. And I make it with communication. So I have searched the communication to the stakeholder. Mm-hmm. I had a really good leader, and he's the head of global marketing. So I reported directly to him. And he understands which way I want to go, and he always supported me, and the most fights he make on the stakeholder level. But in the departments, I've started with workshops. I started with try to test their knowledge, because it's not easy if you come as new person in this company and there are people that say, okay, I've done your job before. It's not easy to say, okay, we have to change something. So it was not easy for me at the beginning. Sure. They were really, no, we don't want to work with her. And so I started coffee calls, I started workshops, I started to take the persons in my calls. So from the other departments, so they say, okay, she's talking about this point. Yes, and it was really hard work. And then I really fast found out, okay, this is the person I can work with. So, and it's easy. If you have one person, the other one's two. So, yes, I started with one person, and then now we make a lot of communication and discussions, of course, and it's not easy.
It sounds like it was a little bit challenging at first, where you had a little bit of support from your manager, but that there were a lot of people around that had kind of been through the same thing or had been used to kind of doing things in a different way, and they didn't understand why would they need to do anything different and what kind of things you would change. And then it sounds like that it was a real challenge getting over that trust barrier. So can you talk a little bit about, like, pairing up with that one person that resonated with you and what you did there with them to try to improve the trust overall?
Yes, it was not easy. So, but I started to talk to this person often, and we had a lot of calls in the week, and I said he was the person who made the changes on the landing page. So I said, if we try it this way or this way, we can increase more. And he was open for it. So he said, okay, let's try. And if you can increase these pages. So I was sure in a few weeks we see an increase in conversions and in ranking. And it was this way. And then I had a A/B test. I could say, look at the pages. If we make it this way, we optimize it this way. So it was important. they only have byte images on the pages, only Getty images. The whole website was full of Getty images.
Yeah.
No product photos, no profile pages with their photos or team photos, something like this, or maybe the company. Nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, I usually love Getty photos, but I feel like, or Getty images, but I feel like it's you're probably talking about like Getty images of someone at a computer, like their hands, or a team together on a table, or an office.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, these are there's so many images like this, and so many people use these images because there's nothing specific they can really point to that makes sense to people. And it's amazing how overused these images are. And I just like you, it's beyond me that these are so prolific. So
yeah, so you have a product, you have a software. So I asked them, why do you put photos from software on the page?
Yeah.
The software is ugly. So it was and I tried to explain it's important that the user sees the software. And yes, now we have photos from our products on the page. And she's not ugly.
Even ugly product photos are better than no product photos, right? Because once the user starts using the product, they're going to see the product for what it is, right?
Yes, they have to see this. So as SAP is one of the big softwares here in Germany and worldwide, and the software is also not the pretty ones, I would say. So yes, it was such things. And contact formulars. They had contact formulars. They were so long and so many fields. So little things. So put on the page, make it small, make it easy. One call to action button, not 3. So they were aligned with call to action buttons.
Mm-hmm.
Newsletter, client login, shop, contact. So yes, So it was not easy, but we have made it step by step.
Yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of people that wanted all those buttons still there, and then by most of them, you probably didn't make a lot of friends with a lot of stakeholders, right?
No.
So take me through some of the results that you got from doing all these experimentation, and what was kind of the result after kind of starting the implementation and making some progress with some of the stakeholders that saw the value.
Yes, we started with pharmacy. Pharmacy is, we have products for pharmacy too, and they have a lot of traffic on their pages. So, and we started to fill in a slider with product photos and a contact formula on the page, and we have an increase from over 300% only with this contact formula on the page. So we have deleted the button chain. So I've said we have to make a decision, product brochure or contact, or maybe we can make the other content part on the page for newsletter. So a little bit under. I had luck. I had this person who had made this. But stakeholders don't like this. The business unit managers, the general managers discuss, because no, we want this, and this. But if you explain that it's not good for the conversion rate because the user don't know what to do and you have to make it clear and straight, then it was easier. So it was like, okay, she know what she did. Okay, I trust her. So it was a long way, and I had a lot of fights with these general managers. But I had luck. My leader said, you don't have to be worried about the general manager. Say what you have to say. I'm behind you. So go. Then I'm gone. So they don't like me, I think, but now it's easier.
It sounds like you've really built up the trust, though. It sounds like you've gone from where they had a really busy site that didn't have actually even a great user experience. And this goes, you talk about like SEO doesn't begin or end on one strategy. It doesn't begin at, or it's not just technical SEO or content. And I feel like what you're talking about is not just a normal kind of SEO perspective of, hey, this is what we need to do. It's almost like you've taken the perspective of, once a user comes here, we need to make sure that they're getting to where they go, right? So, I mean, it's good for SEO for the user to spend, to kind of keep on going through the site, but it's also very user focused perspective of, hey, there's 20 people that were making decisions before, and so it's easy to add a button, right? The easiest thing is to add buttons or add things to navigate, right? Because you're the person that wants it feels really good. They got what they wanted, but the challenge is really making it so that that person and everybody in the organization understands, like, well, adding it's going to make it more confusing. There's going to be one more choice. And if you add, you make the whole page literally like a checkerboard of choices, it's kind of like, well, now you got to evaluate, and it's kind of overload, and you might just kind of abandon it because it's too confusing and you're not really sure what to do. And, is it this button or that button? And some users will hit all the buttons and they don't care, but there's a lot of users will be frozen and they're just like, whoa,
wow, yeah,
like, I don't know what to do, right? And so that it's a real challenge. And I think what you're pinpointing is that by, it's almost like the consensus view of add consensus. Oh, he wants something or she wants something, we'll add it. It's easy. There's no fight. There's no challenge, but it gets worse and worse over years, so that adding one in 2020 and adding another one in 2021 and then adding 3 more in 2022, it starts to build up where you don't really know what the conversion was like in 2020 when you only added one versus now, because it's been so long. And so those kind of small incremental changes over time, I think, can really hurt the user experience and hurt your SEO over time. And I feel like you really pinpointed a real good area here where, it's almost like you have to get all the other stakeholders on board with maybe not having what they want, right? Because it's not good for SEO and not good for the user. Wow. I feel like this is a really, really juicy topic. And I mean, you've talked about a lot of these challenges you face with stakeholders and how you're able to align. And I really like the idea of results-oriented aligning, like put out some results to show what you can do. I mean, what would you recommend other people do when they're facing a similar kind of situation as this? Because I feel like a lot of people, face this similar situation. If you're kind of talking to other people in the community, what other things you would tell them are helpful tips?
Yes, I am in Women in Tech SEO in the mentoring ship, and all my mentees always said, yes, I have the problem. They don't see me as an expert. So if they say they see the problems on the sites, but they are not ready to discuss for this discussion. And I think if you make these discussions with stakeholders or other people, find your middle, stay focused, and look at your paper. And all these people have more knowledge than these people. And you have to make it clear and straight in this discussion without swimming. So if you talk to them, look them in the eyes, say, so from my perspective, if we change this and this, I'm sure we can increase it in this and this percent. So make it really clear. Stakeholder works with numbers. So on the presentation, there should be clear high numbers, really big, and show them conversion rate and rankings, what you think, what happens in the next months, and then they are totally agree with you. So they don't like it maybe, or they start to discuss, but stay clear, focused, what you have to say. You are the specialist and no one in this round is the specialist. And this is really important. So they have to, confidence is the most thing what is missing. And mostly for women in my industry. So they are really small and noisy, and I'm loud. I stay and I talk and I discuss until the end. And this is what I say. You are the specialist. Point. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's really good impact or of focusing on that you're the specialist. You kind of you have the expertise to be able to offer the value and to help the company that other people might have other interests, but you're really trying to grow traffic and try to grow conversions so that really impacts all those other business units. So I feel like that's really impactful. And talking about making the numbers big and just it's almost focusing on the user again. Don't put too much stuff on the slide to make it confusing. Make it really easy of here was my test. This is what we did. Maybe start small of trying to convince the team just to try one test on one page that maybe they don't care so much about, right? That and then show them the result and then come back. And then over a couple of months, then you get more and more pages to do and you can do more and more tests and then you build it up. I love the idea of, putting the numbers big on the page, just staying confident that you're the expert and building trust through experimentation and time. Look, there's so many people in the industry that are trying to always do like the next greatest thing. You talked a little bit about, multimedia and amazing stuff like that. But what do you think that, is there anything else in the industry that they're trying to do that you've discovered a better way, right?
Yes, so I think at the moment a lot is AI and machine learning. So they make a lot of tasks and they make a lot of automation, and most make a lot of content. AI automation, and I wouldn't do this. Content is something that's your fuel for your website, and it should be unique, it should be good, and it have to be a benefit for the user to read it, to see it. And I think at the moment it's like, oh, we can do it all with AI. I write a Python script and I make this one, and then I have completely automation. But for me, it's helpful, of course. There are really good scripts on the market that helps you on the technical side, of course. So for me, it's not easy to keep the technical mistakes all in my mind for the globally side, but I would never take content with AI. So I think this is something you have to do with the countries or with your team.
I mean, it sounds like you're doing the things that you're doing on your content strategy are beyond AI anyway, when you're talking about adding multimedia and having podcasts and things like that, and having, interviews with actual product users. Those are the kinds of things that, there isn't AI that impersonates it. And I hope there won't be, but right now we're not even near yet. So I feel like that's a really good perspective, because AI, everybody's talking about AI. People are using it. People are, it used to be more like dynamic content, right? Where they'd pop in a different price or a different location, or like dynamicize some of the content where it's kind of boilerplate and then adding in things. And now it's become a lot more AI generated stuff. So I feel like things are becoming a lot different these days on the content space. And then, so it sounds like they should stop using AI to write their content, right? What do people need to start doing that you think that they're not doing enough of?
Start doing it on the content side?
Well, it does, anywhere side, in the SEO realm. What do you think people need to start doing?
Stop doing?
Well, you already stopped doing. You already stopped.
Okay.
What do you need to start doing now? So now they're going to think, okay, I'm not going to do AI, but what should I do? What should people start doing that they're not doing enough of?
I think the most think too much in silos, in channels. So they should start to go out of this. The technical SEO side, it's really important, of course. So I have to like this part is my part in the company, so nobody can say anything. Yeah. So it's under my control. So, but go out from this. if you have a good technical site and you have bad content and you have bad images or some generally multimedia content on the site, then it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I also think all the people should work together with the PPC team and with the social media marketing team, because we had found out if we make similar content on a landing page, like you show it on social media, then they convert. They are leads. So it's not only we don't talk about engagement rate, we talk about leads. So it's little things. It's only, I think communication is the key for everyone, and you should see the other side too. So they have their KPIs, they have their targets for the year. So I support my PPC team.
Yeah.
And then they support me. So
yeah. I mean, I really like how you're threading through the different teams, right? You're threading through social media and you're saying, well, if we do something that's more collaborative, like we write a content piece and we have some multimedia on that, and then we have part of that in as a social media marketing campaign, then it all tied together. So when people see it on social media and then they come to the site, it looks the same. It's the same kind of theme of what's going on. So then they actually understand the user isn't surprised by any part of the journey. I love that. That's a really cool example of some tactics that are working when you're reaching across the aisles. I feel like that's a good thing, of reaching across to create something that's even better. And that's going to be a good spotlight for SEO, because if you're able to reach across, then I feel like you can bridge some of those gaps that typically happen where these are siloed off teams. So it's really, really helpful. Anything else that you want to talk about in the SEO realm before we jump on a spotlight to you? Anything that we missed that you'd like to talk about?
No, I think the silos is one of the most problem I see in the industry. So
yeah, I mean, the silos is a great thing. I mean, it's almost like, people start out on a silo. They start out in keyword research, they start out in content, the content, writing part or technical SEO, and going even past that to go into social media marketing or PPC. It really goes back to your background where you started in PPC. So I feel like your background really lends you really well to reach across and be able to do that better. But what do you think people that are earlier on in the career, what can they learn? Because if they're in the silo, like they're doing keyword research every day and they're just following rank tracking and that's their focus, what can they do to try to improve their ability to go past their silo?
Yeah, they should develop themselves. So it's really important that the person wants it and to take a look in the other areas. So for me, it was really hard to learn the technical side of SEO, because most people think it's only the title and the meta description, and then you're already with the technical side. And and I think if you are a keyword research expert, so it makes sense to take a look on the technical side. And if you are a content expert, it makes totally sense to see the keyword research, how it works, and to include it in your content strategy, and to think about the technical, because if the technical side doesn't work, your content doesn't work, and it's the same. If the content is bad, then your site doesn't work. And I think they should open their mind and try to make this communication with the other teams and take a look how it works. And I love the lot digital summits. So in 1 year we have, so since Corona, we have felt like 10 digital worldwide summits, and they have so many good topics there. And so I would ask my manager if he could buy me a ticket or something like this for my development. And then you get a really good crossover. Mostly there is PPC content, SEO.
Yes.
Yes, and it gives a feeling how is the thinking and what we should do. But it's on the person to get out, to break free.
Break free. I love that. Break free in your silo. go from content to keyword because they're so related, and then from keyword to technical, so that you get the whole realm of SEO, and then break out of that into PPC, social media marketing, make friends, go to the conferences, learn stuff. I love it. I love it. And then, are there any projects or anything else that you're working on that you'd like a spotlight for you? How do people reach you if they want to find out more information about some of the things that you're doing?
So I'm on Twitter and LinkedIn. But I would make a shout out to my team if it's okay. So sure. I'm really happy. So yes, I have a great team, the Digital Marketing Center of Excellence in my company. And for a few weeks, a person in an interview asked me, "Do you think it's the best team of the you ever worked with?" And I was so overwhelmed at this moment, because I said, no, but I have think about it this week. And yes, they are the best team I ever worked.
That's great.
I love them really. Yes, I love them really. And I want to say thank you to my leader, Oliver, that he let me be me. And I know it's not easy to let me for him sometimes cleaning after me. So
that, I mean, it's very sweet that you kind of put a shout out to the team, the best team you worked on. And I feel like your journey has gone from where you're struggling to make progress because of the challenges of everybody seeing through what's been done before, to being able to really make a big impact at your company. I love that. I love that. And then on Twitter, what's your Twitter handle if people want to follow you there?
Yeah, it's Höller.
All right, we'll have that in the show notes. Anyway, thank you so much for the interview. I think this was a wonderful episode. I'm really excited for people to be able to understand a lot more about the things that you've learned and the challenges you've faced and how you've overcome them, because it feels like you have really made a huge progress in your career to be able to make some big impact at a lot of different places. So thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.